Hi, my name is Ryan. I want to talk about a drug called Propecia that is prescribed for male pattern baldness. It's unbelievable what it's done. It's crushed, it's destroyed my life and many others, and the purpose of this video is to get awareness out there. The hell that this brings on, it's not worth it. Unfortunately, there's no treatment, so all I can say is just don't take the drug. You don't know who could be taking it. I wasn't too bothered about telling people, but some men won't disclose about their worries about hair loss, and I'll take the drug on the quiet. What has happened to me could happen to your son, could happen to your brother, it could happen to your husband or your partner, and you just don't want, I wouldn't wish this on anybody because of the effect it can have. So please share this video. I first came across it in the late 90s when it was advertised as the wonder cure, and that the side effects were just a temporary loss of libido. It seemed like an absolute no-brainer. I went down to my doctors and paid for a private prescription and started taking it. Prior to this, I was a very happy guy, very outgoing, very sociable. I enjoyed life. I took everything in my stride like everybody. I'd encounter things, but I would just context them and get on with life. Life was wonderful. It was just a joy to be alive for me. And then suddenly this had changed. I quickly developed a loss of libido, as expected. But on the back of that, quickly thereafter, I suddenly started getting insomnia and social anxiety. I found it difficult to go to work and to go out with my friends, both of which I generally enjoyed. So I couldn't understand where this came from. I went to my doctors and discussed this change, and it was put down to a change in role at work and the fact that I bought my first house. It didn't feel right, but I just accepted it, and I tried to move on. New symptoms started to develop. On top of the insomnia, I started to become confused. I was only in my early 30s at the time. I was getting memory problems, as in losing blocks of time for no reason. My judgment was becoming impaired. I was becoming very irritable. The anxiety was getting worse. I felt dread. I felt crushed. I felt nervous. I felt as though I was in fight or flight all of the time. The opposite to who I was. I just changed. I went backwards and forwards to the doctors about this, and it was just put down to stress, but I couldn't understand it because this was not who I was. And then physical symptoms started developing. My taste became very dull. I lost my sense of smell. My vision became blurred. I had sore eyes. I stopped producing tears. I had tinnitus in both ears. Started getting problems with my kidneys and liver. My blood pressure became erratic and I had elevated heart rate. My body temperature dropped to 34 degrees when it should be 37. Extremely cold limbs, numb feet and hands. I have loose skin as well, as though I've been obese, but I've never been obese. Extreme headaches. I started getting gum recession a few years ago. I've since lost a centimetre of tissue. My roots are exposed. I've had some restorative operations to try and improve that, but it's continued unabated. The roof of my mouth started to recede as well. I've got extremely dry skin. I've stopped producing oil that protects the skin. I've developed intolerances to lots of foods. In the last few years, I've lost a lot of muscle. My strength's gone. My masculine shape has changed. I've just aged dramatically. I have excessive urination. It's often dark. I'm always at the toilet. The libido's never come back. I also had testicular cancer. Terrible pains in my back off the kidneys. And the list goes on. That's not exhaustive. So all of this was coming on over the course of the years. I was taking the drug and I was at a loss. I was backwards and forwards to the doctors. I was having tests. Everything was coming back inconclusive. Diseases were ruled out. I'd Google my symptoms out of desperation. These diseases that had been ruled out would come up as a suggested cause. So I thought I must have some rare form of cancer. I even considering I had early onset of Alzheimer's. Work tried to accommodate me as best as possible, but with all of these symptoms and my inability to think and respond to things anymore just become too much, and I couldn't do it anymore. I had a great social group of friends. I mean, I had everything, and that's massively reduced. People say they hear from me, but they can't deal with the subject matter of this. And because I'm not who I was, they have disappeared. I would say my life's been destroyed and I've lost everything. And then 2.5 years ago, on Googling one of my symptoms, I popped this site called Propecia Help. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There's thousands of guys on this forum talking about exactly the same thing. They're explaining, they're describing the symptoms of everything I had, and it's been this drug. Immediately I thought, I'll never take this drug again and hopefully I'll improve. These guys were deteriorating, they weren't getting better on cessation. There's guys that have died from it. There's been a number of suicides. It's dramatic for some guys, as in the onset it's very rapid. For me it's been over a period of years, and even now there's new guys joining the group. I'm now stuck in this position, which is terrible, as other guys are. My story isn't unique in terms of the journey I've been on. Other guys have lost work, they've lost their relationships, they've lost everything they had, and they are left alone to deal with it as I am. If it wasn't for my two sisters, my wife, who I'm still close to, and my 7-year-old son, I dread to think where I would be. People talk about therapies to help. I've had cognitive therapy, I've had talking therapies, I've had counselling. None of it does help, because actually the body's been altered. It's not a psychological problem. It's a problem that what makes us guys as we are, it has been altered. The changes are permanent. I try to deal with it by putting on a mask, but putting on a facade, and I can't hold it for that long. It's just terrible what it's done to me. So I'm left trying to live this life. It's not a life anymore. So I'm trying to survive each day. It's just devastating. It's ripped. The essence of me has gone. I struggle with everything. It's terrible. But unbelievably, this drug is still on the market. So the purpose of this video, and other guys are doing videos themselves as well, is to get awareness out there, because of the potential of this. It destroys lives. It takes away what we have, and we are left in this hell, is all I can describe it. It never goes away. It's there with me 24/7. Anxiety around the clock. All of these symptoms remain 24/7. I don't get any respite from it. I can't feel humour, I can't feel love, I can't feel enjoyment, because it's all been blocked because of this drug. The ability to feel joy, the ability to get out of bed and to embrace life, to love life, all of that's gone. It's a destructive, horrible disease. I've come across 5 people just in passing when I've been talking about what's happened to me, and there was a family who's lost a son that was local in the area. A guy who's lost his business. I was speaking to one of my sister's friends, and her marriage split up, and when I got when she talked to us and she opened her heart, it's because he took this drug and it changed him forever. It's not worth it. So please, get this out there. I've tried to keep it as concise as possible. I could talk about it all day. As I say, the symptom list isn't exhaustive, and it's a deteriorating path. It's terrible. It's destroyed my life, and this shouldn't be happening in this day and age. Please share this video and get it out there, and thank you for listening.